I don't care if we have to vote. I'll ask you first of all about just now that you've got a film to watch on your team from a game on last Sunday. What did you like? What didn't you like? What have you been emphasizing this week going into Friday night's opener?
Well, the one thing we did, and I told the guys, we were off Monday. We didn't have school on Tuesday with Veterans Day, so we were able to show film in the morning and come back practice in the afternoon and really dissected the film probably more than we have of an exhibition game and tried to point out the little details that maybe we didn't do as well as we needed to and still were successful. But saying this isn't going to work Friday. We've got to be sharper. We've got to have a better understanding of, if you're supposed to be in the corner and you stop on the wing, that messes up a lot of things. I thought defensively we were pretty effective, just in terms of our movement, our communication. I thought we used what we thought Walsh was going to do, and they tried a couple different things and we were going off a film of them last year late in the season, but I thought that the guys did a pretty good job of carrying over what we had talked about in terms of defense.
I know obviously you got a little taste of it with an exhibition game on Saturday, but just first game excitement of the season, what do you want to see, I guess, Friday night?
I think this, probably a longer answer than you wanted, but there were certain things that we wanted to see before the game even started, just in terms of shoot around, the mental approach guys had. As I said to Bob a second ago, there were a couple of things that we said, now these are really, really important. Let's carry them over from warm-ups to a couple of things in scouting, those types of things. But as we look at the film, I thought we were able to show, hey, when we move the ball, good things happen. When we move bodies, good things happen. When we ran where we were supposed to run, good things happened. And but there were other things that maybe we didn't do, that we didn't pay for, that we know we're going to pay for later, and guys were receptive to that. So I think that was the coming out of the exhibition game. For some of the guys to get under the lights and just to, they. Even though it's an exhibition, first time they've worn the uniforms. When we were in the Bahamas this year, we wore practice gear. It's just a different feel. So I think from that perspective, hopefully, the jitters or whatever it is, it will subside a little bit for a couple guys.
I don't want to cut off the signing day stuff, but I was curious about just the recruitment of Mickey and how the ups and downs of that were with, the commitment, decommitment, then come back, and then all of a sudden his brother left before all that happened. I mean, was that a unique recruitment, and what was, the battle like to try to, convince him that this was still the right place for him?
Yeah, well, I think every recruitment's unique. I've learned that over time. There's no cookie cutter approach to recruiting, but I think in Mickey's situation, Mickey and Mike are two completely different kids, just in terms of their personalities and that sort of thing. Not getting into a lot of detail, but Mickey went through a little bit of a tough stretch, and I remember getting the phone call and said, "Hey, look, I'm cool with it. I just want what's best for you." And then once we found out, the best place for Mickey was at Ohio State, is what he felt, and we're elated to have him here. There's no doubt about that.
How do you react in a situation where you earn a commitment and then a decommitment? Just speaking in generalities, does that mean it's time to turn up the heat? I know you said every recruitment's different, but how do you react to having somebody than losing somebody?
Well, I think, and even dating back to when Mike left, we asked him point blank, is this going to affect you? And shoot us straight, be honest. We understand if it does. He says, no, it has no bearing whatsoever on me. But in his particular situation, there was no turning up the heat. It was just more of saying, hey, how can we help you? We're here for you if you need it. Whatever happens. We want what's best for the rest of your life in terms of his development.
Just overall, the class you have that you signed today, I imagine you're feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I'm feeling great, honestly. I think from what we felt like we needed and what we got, starting with A.J. Harris, a point guard out of Dayton, have watched him play a long time, and I think that he has. There's something about guys that come out of Dunbar that we like. You date back to not only basketball players here, but football players, and he's going to be able to come in and run a basketball team. He's accustomed to winning. I think with Austin Grandstaff, he was one last summer when I first saw him that was committed to another school, and I remember watching him play, saying, "Man, would I love to have him in terms of what he brings." And fortunately for us, like an Aaron Kraft, he decommitted, and we were able to get in there. I mean, you're looking at a kid that can flat out shoot the basketball with tremendous range, and he's got size to go with it. He's got athleticism to go with it. He's a gym rat, as AJ is. I mean, always in the gym. And another kid that came up here and a lot like AJ, I think he fell in love with Ohio State for all the right reasons, which is very important to us. In terms of Mickey, I've loved his game from the first time I saw him. He's probably maybe the best passer I've seen in a long time in terms of his vision, in terms of making guys better. He scores. He's had a hard road with a lot of injuries, and just coming off of a foot surgery where he had a bone spur in September. He's back. He's healthy now. They've had a couple scrimmages. He's playing very well. But you look at Mickey Mitchell. Say what position is he? I think that in our system he can play 4 positions easily, from point to 2 to 3 to 4. He's one of those guys like Evan Turner. He does a lot of things well, and I love that about him. I think with Daniel Giddens, you're looking at a tremendous athlete with great toughness. I've seen him dominate basketball games with his defense and his rebounding and his shot blocking. Just watching him from when we first started recruiting him to where he is today, his offensive skill level just continues to grow. He's got a body. All these guys have a body, I think, where they can come in here and not be shell-shocked in terms of the pace, the physicality that played with at this level. And the other thing is all 4 guys have won. And they've won at a very high level, and I think there's an art to winning. And I think with those guys, we got that. I think the other thing is, they're all coming from great families. They're families that value education. They're families that value the power of Ohio State, and that to us is something that is huge.
Yeah, I think just about every year you've been here, you've had at least one lefty. I don't know if that's just the way it worked out with recruiting again this year. I'm just wondering if there's anything with that. Is there something you like about left-handed players? Do they have a uniqueness that makes them stick out, or is it just kind of worked itself out that way?
I think it just, position-wise, it works itself out.
You got a pretty good one here right now, too, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, no question about that. It's funny because I always tell this story, and you look at one of the great ones we've had here. The first 3 times I ever watched Michael Conley play, I didn't know if he was right-handed or left-handed. So I said, I got to take that kid just so I can figure out what hand he is. But there's no pattern like, hey, we got to get a left-handed player, or, this kid's right-handed, this kid's left-handed. Let's take, I guess it helps the dinner table line if we got some left-handers and right-handers. I don't know.
I want to ask you about AJ, too, because I can't remember really you having too many point guards of that stature. I don't know what you guys, I didn't see how you guys list him. I think he's been listed about 5'9"-ish most places. I mean, even PJ, I think, was listed 6'1" and was kind of a muscular guy. But it seems like one of the traits of AJ is he's pretty tough.
Oh, yeah.
Can you just talk about that?
Well, I think this with AJ, and I'll never forget this. I was watching him play in an AAU game a couple summers ago, and he missed a crucial free throw in an AAU game. And I walked outside afterwards to make a phone call, and he was sitting on a bench by himself and had his head in his hands, and I couldn't talk to him because of NCAA rules, but I'm looking at him, I'm saying, here's a kid who cares. This is AAU basketball in July, and he's distraught over missing a free throw. This kid, to me, has a chance to be a heck of a basketball player. And as crazy as that sounds, that went into my thinking of offering him a scholarship. Now, the physical nature, and he is tough. I mean, he can get up, he can crawl under guys, and he's going to do the things he has to do to win.
About his stature, there's not the guys at 5'9" that make it at this level of basketball are few and far between. And you obviously offered him early. What told you when you watched him play that he could compete at the highest level?
There was probably a lot of things, but I liked his grit. I liked his toughness. I loved his attitude in terms of doing whatever he had to do to win. He's one of the best I've seen at getting inside the paint and making guys around him better. He's so quick, he's so strong that he gets in there and he's a very good decision maker.
I got two questions. First of all, the point guard situation. You lose Shannon Scott after this year, and AJ comes in. Is there some trepidation that you don't really have? I mean, I guess D'Angelo would be the other point guard. How will you handle that situation? I mean, if something, God forbid, would happen to AJ, are you prepared to deal with that? And the second thing is the state of Ohio. I mean, you get Harris from here. There were some other guys in the state that opted to go elsewhere. Do you feel like you guys made every effort to try and get some of those top Ohio guys that, for whatever reason, just ended up going somewhere else today?
Trying to remember the first question. Point guard, yeah. No, I think we kind of recruited AJ with that in mind, and I do think D'Angelo has the ability to play both. As I said earlier, I think Mickey can play. I watched him play this spring and summer point guard at his size, and so that one, we feel now, you got two freshmen, but that's, hey, they're going to have to grow up at some point. In terms of the Ohio recruiting, I will say this: I love who we got. We did recruit some other guys, but hey, the day Daniel Giddens told us he was coming in June, we were done with it. That's who we wanted in terms of the positions that we felt like we had to fill.
And I was just going to ask you about that with losing. You have a big senior class this year. How important was it for you to fill all of those different needs? And you're pretty happy with the guys that you got.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, and I know all of you are thinking this, these aren't the only four guys that we signed, because we got 6'11" and 6'9" guys sitting out also, which is very exciting to us, in terms of Trevor and David. And but yeah, I mean, it was kind of in the plan of like, we knew we had to get these spots filled. We wanted, in terms of the dynamics of our team, these were four guys we targeted and said, if we get them, we're going to be happy. And as I said, I'm elated today.
You mentioned what Grandstaff can do. Compare him to Diebler. Is he a shooter like that who can maybe put it on the floor better than John could, or what?
Okay, I'm going to say this, and I know John's over in Turkey, and he's not going to see this. But I've told John this. Austin is a better shooter than John was in high school. John was a great scorer in high school, who literally, my hat is off to him if he sees this. Hi, John. He made himself a shooter. Yeah, Jake will definitely send it to him. Yeah, because Jake's in there lobbying for John right now. But no, John made himself a best shooter in college basketball. And with that said, I think that Austin shoots it better today than he does. And athletically, Austin's probably a little bit better athletically in terms of just his bounce, that sort of thing. Now, boy, if Austin has a career like John Diebler did, I'm going to be a happy guy.
Anything else? Speaking of Austin, sorry. Off the court, did you get the sense that he was the spearhead for this class? He helped recruit Mickey Mitchell, bring him back in the fold, and Daniel Giddens as well?
Yeah, I think that those guys talk. And Austin obviously did a good job at the camps or whatever they do. I don't know how that all works, but the one thing we always tell kids, I don't want to tag team recruit or every time we try to recruit this guy to get this guy, it usually backfires on us. And we knew we wanted Austin. Let's go get the other guys. And now did he help solidify Daniel and Mickey? I know they were talking, but by the same token, I wanted Mickey and Daniel to come for the right reasons for them and their families. And I still remember when Daniel came up for his visit last summer. I mean, with the family, a beautiful family, and they asked questions, probably more non-basketball issue. And that's always refreshing as a coach in terms of they're seeing the big picture. They wanted to know academic opportunities. They wanted to know, and as Daniel's even said, hey, in case this doesn't work out, here's what I want to major in, and da-da-da-da, which is really refreshing in today's day and age.
Did you talk to them, or did they ask your advice at all about his decision to go to Oak Hill? Was it a basketball decision, or did you have input in it?
No, we did not. We did not. And that was, it's funny because he was at a great high school, but they asked us, and we said, hey, we're not going to get involved in that one. But it was definitely a basketball decision. I mean, he's set academically and all that stuff.
I hate to jump back to the opener, but I'd like to talk a little bit more about it. Your teams improve throughout the course of the year, every year. So I'm wondering, game one, generally how good a sense of your team's possibilities do you get game one every year?
It's funny because I asked the guys this question after the game, or Tuesday, I don't know which one it was, but I said, you've got a sizable margin win. How do you think we played collectively, and can we get better? And to a man, all of them said we can get a lot better. And I said, okay, then we're going to take a look at this film, and we're going to show you how we're going to get better. And it was a great film session in terms of saying, there's another a lot. But I think every team in college basketball can say we're not quite where we want to be just yet. But having the realization in the guys that are on the court is, I think, the good thing that I love about this team.
But for you personally, how much a sense of this team's potential will you get Friday night, do you think?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Sunday. Going into this game. Yeah. I think that, just from the standpoint of we don't know a ton about UMass Lowell. I mean, we're going, everything is coming off of last year's film. We've got I think a pretty good gauge of what they're going to try to do defensively, what they're going to try to do offensively. They lost a couple of scores, but with that said, it's a little bit scary going into the game because you're approaching it and you really don't. They could be doing something completely different. We've got no film from this year on them, so when they roll in, they could be 2 inches taller than they say they are. They could be 2 inches shorter. We don't know the answer to that. So, with that said, the huge focus for us going into today's practice, tomorrow's practice, yesterday's practice is hey, let's dot our I's and cross our T's and make sure we're ready to play. Whatever they throw at us, we'll know it's coming.
Last question for you. Mark said that this team is tighter, he thought, than last year's, and they have good chemistry. Do you see that?
That's what a trip to the Bahamas will do for anybody, I mean, think about it. You go with your families to the Bahamas, you guys come home, everybody's happy. No, I think, yes, I do think that this is a close-knit group. And I've said this, the dynamics of this team is so odd, just from the standpoint of 4 seniors, an added fifth-year senior, no juniors, 1 sophomore, and the rest are freshmen, and that's a unique But to their credit, I think they've done a very good job of uniting and having an understanding of who guys are. Thanks, guys.